What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Running the Rift's coverage of the NACL Open qualifiers. We are getting into the final elimination bracket, and we are kicking things off with Winthrop University taking on CCG. Winthrop coming in on this with the upper bracket berth, having defeated Aporia in their group. CCG coming off of a win over Team Fish Taco in the lower bracket. I'm Gordo. I'm joined by Emiliana on the cast today. Emiliana, how's it going?
It's going great, and I am so excited to cast this absolute banger of a quarterfinals. It's Winthrop versus CCG. CCG just beat out this originally second seeded team, TFT, in their GSL group to make it here. Huge upset by them, and I am so excited to see if they can pull it off once again.
Absolutely here. CCG's had a hell of a journey to get here. They've
Mhm.
played two series up against Team Fish Taco, both of those going to three. Their series up against Clown Gaming went to three as well. They have played the maximum 9 games to make it
Oh,
to this
yeah.
elimination bracket. And now coming up against the number one rated seed in the tournament, Winthrop University, my favorite team in the tournament, in that they're the team that I've picked to win it all. I think this team's on a path towards the NACL, frankly. They've been absolutely dominant over the course of these last couple of months. They were great in ACL, where they were able to take a win over there, and now looking to move themselves deeper into this elimination bracket. A win here, of course, puts you in that top four territory, puts you very firmly in the conversation of teams to make promotions at the end of the split. So we are rounding out this first round of bans here. We've got the Twisted Fate band coming through directed at Sword, something that's starting to get a little bit more popular. The first pick, Lucian, for mobility on the blue side.
Yeah, even with the Milio ban here. So will CCG look to steal away that Nami and look to pair it with maybe an Ezreal or something else? And will that be the answer to this Lucian first pick? Because I think that if you pick Nami here, it can definitely like take away a lot of Lucian's power. But it looks like they might be opting for a Zaya Rakan instead.
All right. Yeah, very possible. Does look like, yeah, it's going to be the full Zaya Rakan rotation. Not willing to let that Rakan sit any longer. They're going to give over, it's likely going to be first pick of the junglers over to Wakao here, the officially renamed Trickster. Question here is, oh, no, actually, this isn't a question. It's definitely going to be Lucian Nami. Often a choice between Lucian Nami and Lucian Melio. Melio already going to be on that ban list, so not going to be any chance of that one coming through. And now we'll see what the blind is going to be from Winthrop. They could take a solo lane and try to ban to defend it later on, but there is one more pick left to go. Flowcone or Crimson want to go for that potential counter pick. Left to see. Oh, hovering that Cassante for Denethor. Swear he was just on an interview with Grapes saying that he didn't think this champion was that impressive, but they're certainly going to be willing to first pick it here up against CCG.
Yeah, and what's interesting to me is I've seen quite a few teams. I do watch some scrims of these OQ teams or ACL teams, and I have seen a lot of teams picking this Cassante on 3 and flexing it to mid and top, especially against lower damage mid laners like the Nico, the Ari. And I wonder if that's what they want to do here. And it looks like CCG gonna lock in that Olaf on that B on that R3, and I do want to see, are they looking to put this Cassante top against this Olaf, which is a big counter to Cassante, or will they try to flex it mid?
Yeah, that's going to be the question. I know Crimson was rocking this Olaf in some of their matchups up against Clown Gaming previously. He's been
Hmm.
a very notable Olaf player over the course of his time in top lane. Role swapped over to mid for a little bit, back in top lane these days, and has been really, really favoring that Olaf in these kinds of aggressive matchups. And knowing that he's going to be up against the Cassante, they do favor trying to get themselves that counter pick early. That means no junglers selected coming into this second round of bans. So far, the pool's been focused on mid with the Azir banned away. You got to wonder, are you going to see some of these other picks like the Oriana, like the Corki? Corki's obviously nerfed on the patch. We are playing on live, but still hearing a little bit of whisperings that the pick could be viable, but instead it's just going to continue to be focused towards Sword. An Azir, a LeBlanc. There goes the Poppy from Winthrop to try to pinch Vacan's pool a little bit further. See if it's going to be another one, as a couple more priority junglers still sitting around there.
Yeah, and we see the CCG pinching out this mid pool, but like I said, I don't know if Winthrop flexes Cassante, but I know a lot of teams do now, and I think it could be a pretty smart angle if they were to do that because they could pick something else into the Olaf. I know Cassandre has a tendency to get absolutely demolished by Olaf because Olaf can just go CC immune, and Olaf is generally just a lot really good into these kind of CC tanks that can't really CC him. But looks like CCG gonna go with the Corki, which is pretty interesting because I know Corki did get nerfed pretty hard recently, and I just haven't seen it as much on this patch.
Absolutely. So there is going to be that Corky for Flocon. Definitely excited to see what this guy can bring on the character. He's been playing it throughout the qualifier so far. On the previous patch, looks like he's not dropping it even after those nerfs that came through towards the package, towards the interactions with Missile Barrage. Sword is going to be plenty happy to lock in the Oriana in response. And now Wakao with last pick knows what all the lane matchups are going to be, doesn't know what his jungle matchup is going to be. Hovering that Xinjiao, just kind of a good
Oh,
all-rounder. The Jarvan would be in that same category. The Sejuani, he's showing us all the hits. See
I would
what the
like to
selection
see.
goes to be.
I think Zinzao would be good here because it's really good setup for that Oriana ult. And Sejuani, I just feel like Sejuani, especially with a ranged mid laner, is just not the strongest like champion right now. I feel like there are better options in the meta, such as that Zinzao, like you pointed out. But it looks like they're actually just gonna settle on the Sejuani, which I know that Wakao or Trickster really likes this champ, but I just feel like she's not the strongest in the current meta.
Yeah, you do generally want to have some of those melee lanes to play through. The only choice for that would be the Cassante right now, and you can get a gank off on the Olaf before he gets that ultimate, but afterwards it's going to get to be really, really difficult. So
Hmm.
we will see it. You know how Winthrop loves to play through Denethor when they get the opportunity to. So do think this game will be a little bit more through the Lucian and Nami, and we'll have to
Yeah.
see how that prioritization is going to end up coming on through. Sejuani, it's hard to find a matchup where she doesn't work, although certainly not going to be the most favorable of times to be picking her right here, right now in the current patch. The Ivern, of course, going to be the response for CCG. Looking to get that additional kind of supportive capabilities. The Trigger Seed going to be so good with the Olaf. The additional ability to peel back and ability to disengage is going to be great for Flacon and Red, as they really have fully indexed into having a composition that can go both in and out really effectively.
Oh, definitely. I really prefer CCG's draft over Winthrop's draft right now. I think CCG have created a fantastic draft for themselves. They have Olaf into two tanks on the top side that he can kind of just run through and keep getting resets on that Ragnarok with. And they have a Zaya and Rakan that can peel back or go in with the Olaf for these dives. And I think CCG just drafted a really strong composition here. And as for Winthrop, I don't know if I could say the same for them.
You got to wonder how exactly they're going to be able to play this one out. As
Hmm.
it is going to be that ignite for mobility in the bottom lane, going to be piloting the heal rather for Chookies to go alongside it. It's going to be a heal or ignite setup for Winthrop, going to be a ghost ignite setup for CCG. As they do have that really prized kind of lovers duo in the bottom lane with the Zaya and the Rakan up against that Lucian Nami, who have been such a big priority duo for it feels like quite a while, ever since they changed up Lucian to really be favoring those buffs towards him to get that bonus damage. Also worth calling out, no TP on Crimson. He is going for the Flash Ghost, so going all in on that lane domination, on that chase down power coming into the later game, and going to sacrifice a little bit of map pressure. So keep your eyes on whether or not Denethor is going to be able to get involved in the bottom lane and going to be able to maybe swing some of those matchups just a little bit.
Yeah, and I think in this bot lane, I believe Lucian Nami should be getting that early priority, should be winning the lane early. Zaya Rakan, I don't think they can do too much about that in the 2v2 situation in the early game, but I feel like the longer this game goes, the more confident I feel like that CCG is going to win this game because they just have such great scaling with the Corki. Their Olaf can just run through these tanks, and I just don't see that Winthrop. I don't see how Winthrop can really cut out the Olaf with that Sejuani and Cassante just constantly giving those Ragnarok resets. And I feel like CCG definitely have the draft advantage, but it really does depend on how this early lane phase goes.
Depends on the early laning phase. It depends on how well they're going to be able to keep folks like Flacon safe, right? If you get them caught out with something like the Sejuani, if you get the Cassante on the flank, if you manage to catch them at a shockwave or anything like that, you're going to lose out on a lot of that power. You want to be able to get some time to poke, to soften up, and to be able to buy time until the fight really breaks out in earnest to be able to get the most value out of this Corki. We're just going to have to see if CCG are going to be able to navigate the fights in such a way that they're able to do that. They're sending 5 members into the top lane to start things off here. Going to be looking to see if they can catch Denethor early on, but he's just chilling here at the blue buff ramp. Should be able to see them if they come out of this ping brush. He sees Crimson and maybe can make the conclusion that others are behind him. There we go. He's just going to have to back away here.
Yeah, they could maybe look for an invid here. Have you ever like played solo queue and seen those Olafs run into the enemy jungle and just like 1v2 the enemy top jungle and take the red buff or anything like that? Yeah, I was thinking they could be going for something like that. It is into Cassante and Sejuani, so I don't really know if that's possible in these matchups, but I've definitely seen that in my solo queue games before and I couldn't believe it. So, but looks like CCG not really gonna flip the game level 1 and just gonna all back off.
Yeah, it's notable that Denethor had to start the footwork there. He didn't want to get snagged by an undertow and get chain CC'd by root caller and other nonsense, so he isn't going to have access to the Intofo strikes early on. It's just going to limit his clear ability and his ability to really fight with Crimson super early. That's not going to stop him from face-checking the bush, taking a little bit of damage, but we'll be able to dash right out. He does have the shield, he does have the mobility, but yeah, really tough for him to even touch the wave.
Yeah, and we can definitely see this Olaf Cassante matchup just being this matchup. Crimson just standing behind the wave and bullying Denethor in this top matchup. And it's definitely just a really difficult matchup for Cassante to play out.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially without Intofo strikes, right? You don't even get the combos off. You can't be proccing your passive. You can't be threatening a pull back underneath the turret or anything like that. So maybe regretting the option early on, but of course might have ended up having to blow flash there had he. There's going to be Chookies and mobility hitting that level 2 first, getting a nice trade into red. Going to be pushing him on the backside early on. As Trevor just can't do too much as that level 1 Rakan. Nobody can in that bottom lane, and it's going to be still a little ways until they're able to actually take up. They finally get it, but they've cost themselves so much of their health bars to be able to do it.
Yeah, red already getting chunked out so much in this early laning phase, but it's kind of what you expect from this matchup, I think. Lucian Nami just beats Xayah Rakan really hard on that level 1, and it's really hard for you to do anything. You kind of end up in this state, but Xayah Rakan definitely scaled really well, and here comes a little bit of engage, but he doesn't have the E. He can't get back to red safely. Oh, here comes Crimson.
Yeah, it doesn't have the smite, not going to be able to contest Wakao and their ability to actually secure the blue buff, but going to be a nuisance, going to interrupt the ability to actually be able to keep up with Vaken's clear, as Vaken, having already started the marination on those first couple of camps, just going to come in and try to be annoying in his own right, see how much they can disrupt what Wakao is going for and just keep some of these winning lanes going for them, especially Crimson's. The longer that top lane can go undisturbed, the better he's going to feel, but Denethor done a pretty solid job of being able to catch up and farm. There's a bigger wave for Crimson to be able to clear out here before too long, but at the very least, he's started to be able to get XP. He hasn't been, like, totally taken out of anything.
Yeah, definitely. The wave maybe in a bit of an awkward position for Denethor. It is pushing back towards Crimson. Backen is in the top side, but so is Wakao, so we could be expecting a 2v2 in this top side soon. It looks like Crimson gonna ghost.
Yeah, Denethor thinking he can win this, but the shield and the vicious strikes from the Olaf just making a big difference. One more undertow might be able to do it, but Wakao has shown up, and Crimson does not want to risk giving up that kill. Vaken now coming in to try to clean things up, but he's not going to really be able to stop them either. He's going to get pushed back by Wakao, and now at risk of getting stunned up. Denethor does not need to leave this fight. Pathmaker going to force him to flash out, now trying to turn the fight once again with the undertow. The damage just isn't there, not when Olaf can't actually strike in melee range, and this wave will get brought into turret pretty comfortably.
Yeah, Crimson has a level up here though, so I don't think a dive is possible at all. He did just get level 4, so Crimson just gonna clear out this wave, and Denethor does get Wakao gonna stay to help Denethor get that really safe crash.
Yeah, they're still just trying to keep up the pressure here, seeing if they can deny any CS. They know that the recall is done for the Ivern. Are they going to go for this dive? Denethor has the level 5. He's going to go for it, looking for the stun. First blood comes through for Wakao. Denethor will drop, but this is going to cost Crimson that whole wave. That is so worth it for Winthrop.
Yeah, Crimson does lose in part of the wave. He does not have that teleport to get back to lane, but not too much of a loss. He does go 1-for-1 at least, and he's still even in CS. Even pre-6. I think this is a pretty happy state for Olaf, because I think once Olaf gets that Ragnarok on that level 6, he's going to be able to just run over this Cassante. It's going to be really tough.
Yeah, definitely going to have to give that Olaf some respect one way or the other, and not losing that second wave crucially as well. It crashes just outside of his turret, so he's not going to lose out on it too much there either. Oh, just waiting for that tough it out to continue to be able to allow him to resist those dives. And once he ticks level 6, like you said, it's going to be pretty much impossible to make too much happen with the Sejuani. Big wave, though, going to be coming in towards Denethor now, so he'll be able to, at the very least, be able to farm that up and be able to manifest this lead that you get from denying CS under the turret earlier on. They are going to be looking to get these early grubs in towards Vakin on the Ivern. Looks like he'll be able to secure those with no problem as Wakao is down on the bottom side. Thinking more about the Dragon with his winning bot lane as Mobility and Chookies find themselves another nice trade out of Trevor.
Yeah, we can see a small CS lead probably in the bot lane. Not really, to be honest, but I would expect it in this matchup as Red and Trevor are holding out in this lane pretty well. They have been going even in CS, haven't really been losing planing, which is honestly, I think what you want to see from this matchup at level 6. Rakan's going to have a lot of power with his engage, with his quickness, and Zaya's going to have that peel back ability with her ultimate. So I think CCG, despite it being even, are really happy about this game state.
Should be. It's now taking away some camps as well with the Ivern, just making sure that they're going to be able to deny as much as possible from Wakao as he does get first Dragon to the side of Winthrop. A pretty calm farming matchup across the board with the rest of the squad. Just a very faint CS lead for Mobility. Got to be a faint CS lead for looking like Crimson right now, although I do think Denethor is still stacking waves up there. Be able to check it out before too long is actually, yeah, pretty even across both sides. Been a good job for Crimson to be able to come back to lane, even though it was pushing away from him, and make sure to recover.
Not sure what happened in this bot lane. It looks like Red got really chunked out in one of these trades, and he might have to lose a full wave for that mistake, including a cannon. So definitely kind of bad for CCG's bot lane, but never mind. Here's a gank on the top side.
Yeah, Denethor on the wrong side of dodge here, maybe wishing he could use that all-out to get on through the Olaf. Gonna pull him back on in as soon as that Ragnarok expires, trying to turn it around, but gonna get melted down way too quickly as Wakao now is going to have to back on off. No level 6 on him. Probably couldn't do too much with it anyways, and now gonna have to get back and find out that all the camps are gone as well. It's kind of a disaster here for Wakao, not loving the situation he's been put in. His top laner falls, and he's got nothing left to farm.
No, definitely, but we can see in the bot lane, as I was talking about in this matchup, that I think what I see tends to happen with it is the Lucian Nami does tend to win this early. They do tend to develop these CS leads in the early game, which, you know, Mobility has been getting here. And I think that, so bot lane for Winthrop is slightly ahead, but I do feel like the top side for CCG is winning out as we expected of them with this Olaf pick into the Cassante.
Yeah, it's going pretty well here. The blind Cassante getting effectively punished. Going for that Ravenous Hydra first item on Crimson just to keep those waves shoved on in. At least that's what it appears to be. It's Trevor just trying to unlock himself from this unfortunate bot lane matchup so far. Getting found by Wakao, though. One more auto would allow the stun to come on through. Sword with access to the shockwave, with access to the full combo. They're calling over Chookies as well. Just want to make sure they maintain control over this bottom river. They will be able to get the Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, and it looks like Winthrop do consistently have had control over this bot side for most of this game with this Lucian Nami, this priority pick in the bot lane. And meanwhile, a bit of a trade in the top side, but nothing happens.
Yeah, Crimson losing a little bit of health, but yeah, he gets attack speed for it. He's pretty comfortable with where he's at, knows that he'll be able to regen back up later on with the Tough It Out and with the Vamp Scepter that he's got for himself. A refillable potion in there too to keep things on the top half of the spectrum. Clears continuing to be pretty calm here from both sides. CS leads building out, though, for the Winthrop carries. Trevor popping the quickness, looking for an engage with Vacan. They are going to get the knock-up on towards Mobility, who's going to try to kite this one out. Still holding on to the Summoner spells. Actually already used Flash earlier on, so going to drop to red because of that. Good engage there by Trevor and Vacan to be able to clean up the Winthrop carry and get some gold back into Red's pocket.
Yeah, definitely a really good quickness and flash. Grand entrance by Trevor in this bot side. And Red able to pick up a kill off it. He's also going to be able to crash the wave and deny Mobility that wave. So really good play by CCG. They're slowly building up a small lead in this game.
For sure. Got themselves about 800 gold ahead. Are going to look to keep that stacking on up. The Dragon's going to be up in about a minute here. Mobility will be up in time to be able to grab that one. Second round of the Grubs is there as well. And Winthrop looking like they want to deny those Void Mites are going to show up here. At least got Wakao on this side of the map, checking them out, seeing if he's going to be able to snatch away one or two. Of course, Vakin and Trevor are here as well. See if they're going to be able to challenge. Trevor face checking into two, going to get the full combo on top of him. Shockwave back in, and Sword cleans up the kill. Winthrop getting one back.
Definitely a bit of a mistake by Trevor. Even with all of Rakan's insane mobility, he was just permanently CC'd and couldn't move out of that situation at all. And it looks like Winthrop might be able to get the grubs as a result. However, keep in mind, 2 ults were burned by the side of Winthrop here. So it could be a winning fight for CCG still.
Crimson charging forward, has access to the Ragnarok when he wants to pop it. Doesn't land the undertow, but is just using Ghost to buy space for the team. They are going to be able to clean up one grub. A second one here will get them the mites, and they should be able to do it here, unless Winthrop has something else to say. They don't have access to the Shockwave yet, but Wakao, even without ultimates, doesn't seem to care. Just going to brute force his way through. They take down Daisy. They're focusing on this grub. They will smite it away, so it is going to be 4-2 in the grub count, and Winthrop have avoided what could have been another point of pressure on the map.
Yeah, it's pretty annoying when your opponent gets 5 or 6 grubs because of the little mice that just keep spawning, and they also help with tower dives too, and it just feels like so BS when you get dove because there was grubs tanking it, and they just like come out of nowhere. So definitely really good for Winthrop that they managed to secure one of those grubs away to make sure CCG did not get the 5 grub buff.
Yeah, Sword in a little bit of a shady situation here. There's Trevor waiting around behind him. He does have vision in the tri-brush. Has not yet spotted out that Rakan, I don't think. We'll just go on up to regroup with the team at Dragon, so no play really to be had here. And that second Dragon should be going over towards Winthrop before too long. If Sword doesn't move away, doesn't regroup with the squad, Trevor might get paid off for this really, really long stay in the enemy jungle, but I'm pretty sure he's spotted right there. Sword trying to get away, will have to flash back out to get underneath the turret, gets hit by the quickness, but there's just no follow-up. He's gotten enough distance away, and he gets the value out of that pink ward to make sure that Trevor's not going to be able to catch him unaware.
Yeah, but he does lose the flash in exchange, so...
Ooh, all out, going to come on through. Gets immuned there by that ultimate, but it doesn't matter. Mobility, gonna cull him right down. Picks up a shutdown on the Lucian there to take out Crimson, and that is exactly what you were hoping for if you're Denethor. Getting a little bit of relief in the top lane, some alone time to hit the turret. He doesn't have TP, so he's not going to be able to get up here in time to respond to you, and you're going to be able to get yourself a little bit back.
Yeah, and meanwhile, we can see in the mid lane Sword, just really consistent mage player. As usual, he's got almost perfect CS and is just building up his gold by just consistently last hitting, trading really well into Flocon's Corki, and he's worth a 150 gold shutdown right now despite only having 1 kill. So he's definitely pretty rich on this Orianna now.
Absolutely. Already rocking the Luden's Companion, got 2 stacks on the Dark Seal, and has been doing his job. Just hanging out, farming up, making sure that they're going to be able to make picks on Trevor when he face checks, and otherwise making sure that he's going to be in the side lanes to catch that CS. Rift Herald is now on the table, and it does look like CCG have vested an interest in it. They're going to move themselves over alongside the spawn of Daisy out of Akin to make sure that they can secure it. They do have their Lucian Nami duo in mid lane, clearing out waves, looking like they want to come up here and respond. So perhaps a 4 versus 4 building up for the Rift Herald. It's down to about 3k. Wakao wants to move forward and try to get the smite, gets hit up by the Root Caller, throws out the ultimate. Here comes the Tidal Wave just to try to lock down Crimson. He pops the Ragnarok, trying to turn it onto mobility, but will get melted down too fast, and now Vakin going to be forced to flash on over. They do get the Rift Herald, but they lose a member in the process.
Yeah, and thank God they were able to pick that Rift Herald up, or else that would be quite sad. But Flocon was bought during this whole process, and he is going to TP mid to catch this other wave as well. It looks like there's going to be a fight
breaking
in
out
the top side.
Yeah, there's going to be the flash on in from Wakao. They see the TP mid and they say, all right, we're going to take this 5 versus 3 then. They clean up another kill onto Red. A killing spree now for Sword as he gets 2 in the extended play and is just getting richer and richer on the Orianna.
We can definitely see Winthrop turning this game around. At first, we thought it was CCG with the lead, CCG with a slight upper hand. But now Winthrop have had a series of back-to-back successful fights. And it looks like they're just taking this game away now. They are just winning the fights and getting leads and taking down objectives.
Definitely. So that's going to be first turret gold. That gets isolated over towards Denethor, and it's going to put him right back in contention gold-wise. And running away with it now are the Winthrop squad. They've got themselves over 2k gold lead. Just getting ready to stack on up their third dragon, and unless this Rift Herald makes something real miraculous happen, they're going to have control over the map for the foreseeable future. Doing a good job of playing around their power points, and they have really got this Orianna off to a rocketing start as Mobility looking for an aggressive trade into Trevor in mid lane.
Yeah, but... Oh, Mobility gonna dash forward?
Gets a great chunk there onto Red, going to take Trevor low as well. There's not really too much to get off of forcing out this recall, but going to at least put the Fear God in him and going to be able to set up for a nice push through mid now alongside Wakau's. Pressure mounting in the bottom lane, pressure mounting in mid lane, and running out of champions who are going to be comfortable sitting out here without getting a recall across. Trevor has to spend some time back at the base, as does Crimson. They are going to crash a wave into mid lane during that time.
Yeah, and we can see the dragon is spawning in just under a minute now. Bakken still has that Rift Herald in his inventory, so he can do the play where he just puts down the Rift Herald mid to get pressure, and then CCG can walk towards the dragon, which I think is what CCG is planning to do with this Rift Herald in the next minute.
It's going to be the pre-practice, preset play that you would assume they would default to. Meanwhile, Sword took the turret in the bottom lane, so just still building up around the map, taking control, making sure that there's going to be less and less structures available. And the Rift Herald will get thrown down, as you called out, Miliana, but will they be able to defend up against it? Charge will be completed. Rift Herald going to drop. No plates to be found. Tower still at half HP, and not really too much to be found from it as a full 5-on-5 standoff starts to break out in mid. Ball going to be set down in the middle of everybody. The package going to be available to Falcone. What are they going to find as the engage tool? You know that Wakao is looking for somebody to hit with that Glacial Prison, looking for an angle to be able to dive into the fight, but the disengage tools are going to be so good. A little bit less good now with Daisy having been taken off the board as they move towards the Dragon. Winthrop going to advance forward. Trevor going in for the engage, does find it on a mobility, but there's just no follow-up. Trevor is isolated and deleted. His sword goes on a rampage. Ragnarok popped perhaps a little late there from Crimson as the culling nearly takes him down. Denethor chasing him the rest of the way with the Intofo strikes, going to force out the flash as Wakao dashes in with the Arctic Assault. This is going to be Dragon number 3 for Winthrop. This is going to be CCG routed from the fight.
Yeah, and the situation just looks tougher and tougher for CCG. Trevor with that engage, able to find it onto mobility, but unfortunately with the Glacial Prison thrown out by Wakao, CCG are just stuck there and not able to follow up onto Trevor's engage.
Absolutely. This is part of why Winthrop has just been so good at this level for me. They don't need anything miraculous to happen to build themselves up a really solid lead in these games. They're just able to play even situations intelligently and efficiently and end up coming out ahead there. And eventually, somebody gets a little too antsy for an engage, somebody doesn't set up right around Dragon, and you are able to pinch it close and take a massive lead for it.
Yeah, and now, as their reward, Winthrop currently sitting on 3 dragons on this Infernal Rift. Absolutely devastating Dragon Soul if they are able to get it. Lucian with Nami and the Infernal Soul just throws out so much damage onto the enemy team. Before you know it, your health bar is just chunked out to half with just one Lucian dash to you, and you just die. So definitely really scary for CCG if Winthrop are able to secure that 4th Infernal Dragon.
Definitely is here. They've got about 4 minutes to go until that point. Will be a Baron on the map for some of that time. We'll see if CCG want to go for anything in that direction. I do think Winthrop will probably play it a little slower. They know that they have the threat of Soul on the table and that they can force CCG into some real tough decisions around those 2 epic objectives. For now, they're just going to close on out as much farm as they can get, complete as many items as they can. Denethor pretty close to item number 2 there, working on the Kanik Rookern. Already 2 items across the board on pretty much everybody else. They're just going to look to be as powerful as they can coming into this important fight.
Yeah, and the next fight, probably the 4th Dragon, it is in 3 minutes. Both teams preparing for this, and in the meantime, we can take a look at these items. This Lucian and this Orianna, both on their 2 item spikes. And meanwhile, on the other hand, CCG's Flocon and Red have not quite gotten there yet. They both have half an item. in their inventories right now. And if they can try to maybe find that 2-item spike before this next dragon, and Winthrop aren't able to find their 3rd item, it could be the best time for CCG to fight.
Oh, Winthrop starting the fight out. They're 3v2 for right now, but they got 2 TPs coming on in. Denethor looking on the flank, going to try to push in for a stun. Won't find it, but Trevor will get stunned up by Wakao. It looks like it's about it for the fight, though, as CCG have successfully disengaged and fallen back to their tower. That's 2 TPs used for Winthrop to be able to get that started. They really thought they had something there, but not going to be able to turn it into too much. Just going to try to crash the wave, but 5v5, not too much push, but a big shockwave found by Sword. Going to nearly take Crimson out and going to force out the Ragnarok crucially. There's just nothing left to do now in the fight for CCG. They're going to have to take their recalls and control over this bottom side. Looks like what they want for Winthrop. They're at least going to get the Scuttle Crab. They could even start to look at Baron.
Yeah. And Winthrop do narrowly win that fight. However, no kills over to either team were found. Not many flashes burnt either from what I saw. I think it was just those 2 teleports burned just 2 minutes before that really important Dragon Soul is spawning. So this could be a huge point for CCG to look to force or pressure something on the sideline with Flocon's TP, which is still up.
Yeah, definitely. So how are you looking to set up if you're CCG here, Miliana, if you want to be able to come on out and punish those TPs? Are you looking to try to get towards Baron, or do you think you need to deny that soul most crucially, knowing that it's very likely Winthrop are going to try to trade you on the opposite side?
Well, I think the issue is here, CCG is in a really terrible position because even without the TPs, I think what Winthrop has options and CCG doesn't. I feel like if Winthrop gets this Infernal Soul, the game is just so hard to play because of this Lucian, this Orianna with the Infernal Soul just going to do so much damage. But Winthrop, on the other hand, has so many options. They could just say, screw the Soul, we'll get that in the next 5 minutes, let's just do Baron. And they can get a Baron, and then they can push their lead even further by sieging these towers and objectives with their Baron buff, with this Orianna and Lucian, who are both ranged. They can do a lot of sieging on this map with a Baron, and they can just give the dragon. And CCG really don't have a choice in that because they have to deny the soul. They really just can't give it over.
Absolutely going to be a tough position for CCG coming into this next fight. 30 seconds to go on the dragon. Full vision control over to Winthrop, having taken that scuttle earlier. See, they're really setting down as much as they can on these ramps, on this mid lane, and they've totally choked out vision here from CCG. Thank you to the observers for closing that out and letting us know just how difficult it is for CCG to approach, especially when could be Denethor waiting around there, could be Wakao, could be a whole chain of CC and a whole boatload of damage from Orianna and Lucian that can one-shot even somebody like Crimson.
Oh, without a doubt. But look at the items right now. This is the best time for CCG to fight. They are only down 3k, but they are on the same power spikes as the NAD team. Every single carry has 2 items each, and the fight is going to be breaking out now.
Yeah, Wakao going to be the first target as he gets hit by the Grand Entrance, but look at that damage on a Crimson. Already at half HP, that's going to make it tough to be the Olaf frontliner that your team wants out of you. They will be able to start up the dragon. The question is Winthrop just going to peel off and head towards the Baron, or are they going to try to take this fight?
Oh,
there's going to be the Valk backwards, as they aren't going to be able to get the package. It doesn't look like, at least, as that's going to be tons of damage coming out across. They were able to secure the dragon, but who cares, as look at that damage pulled back into the team. Is Flacone by the all-out out of Denethor, and Red, the last one standing, just trying to make his way out of the fight, has lost his entire team. He will escape with that dragon, but a 4-for-1 fight, or will he here, as Red caught out Royd in the one-on-one by Sword. That's a 5-for-0 ace for Winthrop University, and they have full control.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about. Winthrop just has so many options to play from. They could take the fight at the dragon and probably win it because they are stronger right now, or they could look to they could have just done the Baron while CCG were forced to do the dragon. They just had so many options, and CCG really just didn't have anything they could do that could possibly make the play good because they were just in such a tough position at the moment.
Yeah, no, looking like they found a little bit of something onto Wakao at the start, but they just don't have the damage to back it up. They're not able to layer down the damage. They're not able to prevent the engage. They're not able to reach the back line.
Yeah.
Not really going to be able to play out the fights the way they want. They just get demolished there, and now they're seriously in the hole, 7k down.
I agree, and I think that fight was the best point for CCG. Oh, wow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, getting a little messy
Yeah.
there with the sombrero from Sword, and I think Trevor is going to be able to finish him off. No, actually, they just
Okay.
think, all right, you know what? We don't know where Macau is. We don't know where Chookies is. We don't want to overforce on this. We'll take the flash.
Well, that was quite an interesting play, but as I was saying earlier, I think that Dragon Fight was the best time for CCG to come back into the game, as even though they were down in gold, the carries, everyone had 2 items each. It was the most even time possible for CCG to take a 5v5, and I honestly feel like if I was Winthrop, I would have wanted to avoid that fight, because that's when your power spikes are even for both teams. I would have preferred to just take the Baron, but fortunately their team fight and execution is just so much better than CCG's. Shuki's able to cancel out Trevor's Recon engage with that tidal wave on the Nami was just so important for Winthrop winning that fight. And on top of that, Flocon not really finding anyone with his package whatsoever just really sealed the deal for Winthrop.
When there's the trigger pull on towards red, goes into the Featherstorm, trying to stay alive, but the culling over the wall, gonna force out the flash on top of it. And without that carry, without that wave clear, what do you do in that mid lane siege? They're already losing towers on bot lane. Flocon can't hold it up against Denethor in this 4-man squad of Winthrop. They are going to take an inner in mid lane as well, just ballooning that gold lead higher and higher as Trevor looking for a Hail Mary flank, but he's spotted out by Wakao the whole way through.
Yeah, and looks like Wakao has completely marked Trevor. He's been so good about trying to find these angles, trying to find these angles where he can go into a bush behind the enemy and look for a flank, but unfortunately his engages have either been flashed away from or just mistimed, as his team could not reach his engage in time.
I don't know. Winthrop University having a classic Winthrop University game to themselves here. Just really solid performances across the board. As we said earlier, you know, nothing crazy, nothing fancy, nobody absolutely slamming their lane opponent, but they come together, they take the right fights, they play out their team fights really, really efficiently. They do a good job of denying any power from CCG to come back into the game, and here we are. We're an 8K gold lead. We got ourselves the Baron. We're on Soul Point. Everything is coming up Winthrop, and they are looking to be able to close this one out with maybe 1 or 2 good more fights.
Without a doubt, and it is just harder and harder for CCG to look for these good fights. And oh my god, Lucian.
Yeah, that's 3-item mobility. He is going to go on a rampage with the culling there. Crimson taken off the board, and with Baron buff still present, remember that one, they're going to be able to take down the last inner of the game and continue their push.
This Baron's falling off soon, I believe, but CCG have gotten so many towers off it. Their gold lead has ballooned from 3K since during the Dragon fight all the way to 10K. So that is 7K gold that they've made over their opponents since that 4th Dragon was taken down.
Yeah, I mean, CCG, they just got to be thankful that they were able to deny the soul, but that is not going to be too much of a relief when this next dragon starts coming on up. They are going to need to deny it again at an absolute minimum. The Infernal Soul will only make things harder, but the comeback potential is dwindling more and more as each moment passes. As you said, this gold lead is starting to balloon faster and faster. They have lost every structure that isn't within their base walls, and it is so difficult to get anywhere, even into their own jungle, without extra backup to make sure that you're safe. 3 members now in mid, looking to regroup with Crimson. You know that they're in this river. You know that they're going to take the soul, but can you risk stepping into it?
Yeah, there's no vision here, but Winthrop.
All right. Daisy bites the engage for the team, going to do the face check and going to die, same way that any champion on CCG would have, as we've got the full 5-on-5 standoff. Once again, big wave crashing in the bottom side. Maybe got to think about responding to that one, but the Dragon is the bigger fish to fry for now. They have access to the package for Flocon.
Oh,
Can he find the massive flank? Trevor going to get spotted out, going to dive in. He does find Sword. Here's the package over the wall. Sword's already flashed away. Redemption on the rest of the team. Diving in is Denethor. They've already found their way onto Crimson. They're going to take down Red as well. And Denethor flashing in 1 versus 3. He'll take on all comers while his team finishes off the Dragon. No play left for CCG. His Sword has TP'd in behind. He's playing flanking Orianna, and it will work out beautifully for another 5-0 ace to Winthrop University as they march in for the win.
And Winthrop, they come up huge on this last Dragon fight. They don't even take the Dragon, they just say screw it. Or actually they do, but they just take the soul, they say screw it, and they run to end the game. Sword with that beautiful flank and shockwave on Orianna, able to seal the deal for a clean ace for Winthrop, and they're going to be able to take the first game of the series they're going to be up 1-0 before the next game.
Yeah, don't let the losses in the Swiss stage get you confused. This team is one of the very, very best that we have in the NACL promotion tournament right now, or the NACL
Mhm.
qualifiers. I'm getting
The
ahead of myself,
qualifiers.
but these guys are promotion bound. I mean, I've been saying it
Ah,
all
yeah.
season long. I've been saying it since before spring started, and they will not make me a liar today. They come up with a great win there. They are very well set up now to be able to make top four, just one more win away. We'll be back with that game number 2 here in just a few short moments. But that's going to do it for game number 1.